that the majority of men, whether or not we express it vocally, we do care about you and we want to help protect you and to end this problem.
Yeah, because one of among the 10 things, number 4 says our silence is affirming. So your idea about 10 men knocking on the door and saying, we won't have this here, is breaking the silence.
Silence is a yes in most cases. So my standing by and being quiet in most cases does not say that I disapprove. It says that I approve in respect of the way it plays out. So we need to voice that we disapprove. By staying quiet, the way it plays out is that we approve of the behavior. And men need, because as men, again, is a private issue versus a public issue. And so because it's private, we stay quiet. We're socialized to stay quiet because she's his property. That's our socialization. So we're socialized to mind our business because she belongs to him. We know technically that's not so today, but it was so 100 or some odd years ago, and we still kind of carry through with those rituals and traditions. So she belongs to him, it's none of my business, I'm going to stay quiet, and that staying quiet is affirming. And I also expect him to do the same thing if there's a disagreement between my wife and I, is the socialization of men, to also mind his business. So that's another one of those deals, but it contributes to the violence.
See why it is so important for us to do this program with men, because this is, when I was thinking about doing this program, and someone said to me, well, you have to have an equal amount of women. I said, but men are the ones doing the crime. So I just need, Katurah was here the last time, and she's a therapist and a nurse, and she was talking about what she sees in her practice. But it's so wonderful to have you men doing this because, as you say, you're the ones with the power, and breaking the silence is so important. Wally, I know you want to say something.
Yes, what happens sometimes when we have these men participating in the anger management class, they are mandated by the court. They must comply with that. But when they go to the first meeting, they are very angry. So how come I'm here? This is an internal affair. This is a personal issue. They got no right whatsoever to get in, they see us like intrusives, like we are doing some, so it
comes back to what Tony said, that there really needs to be a broad-based effort to break that cultural perception that this is a private matter, that this is my property, that what goes on in my home stays in my home. I shouldn't have to be here accounting to anyone else. But of course, that's why we lose so many healthy young women.
Yes, we have a case of a person that killed somebody, killed his wife in one of these countries, and came here with another abusive relationship, and he said, I killed her. The only thing he had to say to the authority was that he found her with another man.
And he killed her?
Because of that, he killed her.
He didn't go to jail?
No.
Go ahead.
The case was dismissed for whatever cultural reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
That was in another country.
Yeah, another country.
Let's make that clear.
Yes, in another country. But they come with the mentality here that this is an internal thing. You got no business.
So we have to get those PSAs out there, and we cannot stress enough to you that if you know that your neighbor is being abused, if your friend, if one of your children's friends' parents, that you do whatever you can to get this out in the open and speak to the person and say, this is not a private matter, this is a felony. Someone is committing a crime against you, and that you need to get help. And in fact, we have a statewide hotline, and if we can find that, we will put that up for you. We have a statewide hotline, we have a statewide emergency line, but also, 911, anywhere you are in the state of Connecticut, if you dial 911, and in fact, when you dial 911, do not hang up the phone. If someone is chasing you, when you dial 911 to ask for help, leave the phone off the hook, because by leaving the phone off the hook, they can trace the call. See, whereas if you hang up. Now, on the screen, you see the statewide domestic violence hotline there. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. they will refer you to the nearest hotline, the nearest security, the nearest domestic violence services center nearest to you. So wherever you are, if you call that line, that 888-774-2900, if you call that line, someone will help you and will refer you to getting someplace close to where you live, where you can get help. There's also a statewide children's abuse hotline, and that is 800-842-2288. And then there's the statewide emergency helpline, which is a 911, which I gave you before. Please write those down and utilize them. We also want to say to you, have a safety plan in place. If you are in a relationship where you feel threatened, have a safety plan in place so that when something happens, you can put your plan into operation. You don't want to wait until you're in danger to make those plans.
Now a public service announcement.
Domestic violence happens in every community, at every income level, in every culture.
It's time for us to step up and take our responsibility in ending violence against women.
El verdadero amor tiene que ver con el cuidado, con la atención, con el respeto a la dignidad.
Abused or battered, get help, get medical attention, seek the support of friends and family.
Reach out for support in your community. Break the silence about domestic violence.
Mi hermano, no golpes a tu hija ni a tu esposa. Piensa en las consecuencias que van a ocurrir. Puedes ir a la cárcel, puedes terminar preso.
How would you like if someone was beaten up by your daughter or your sister or your mother? So think about that.
Stop the violence against women.
Go ahead, Sandy. Do you have?
Actually, I just wanted to comment about the services that are available
Yes.
to offenders. Unfortunately, one of the limitations of the institutions that exist right now in this state is that most offenders, most male offenders, only get into some of these programs, the anger management programs that you were describing and the Evolve program I was describing, is once they're in the criminal justice system.
Oh.
There's really very little out there.
In terms of prevention.
In terms of prevention, or if a person, you know, has a problem around violence, you know, he or she can seek out an individual therapist, but you're not assured that that person really is equipped to handle, you know, the issues that come up. The people that are running these other programs have the specific skills.
And you have to be also, for you to seek out a therapist, you have to believe that you're doing something
That's
wrong.
exactly
You
right.
have to be uncomfortable
That's
with
an excellent point. Right.
who you are.
Yeah.
So unless someone is forcing you to go, and if you think this woman is your property or your
That's
children
right.
are your property,
Or unless you have the 10 men who are standing outside the
Outside
door
your
and
door.
putting that kind of pressure on, you know, you're unlikely to seek out that kind of assistance.
that's
Right.
why it is so important that all of us as a community speak out and do something. Sure, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking about a couple things. One is that even with a criminal justice response, and men go into different intervention type programs, and they're there because they committed a crime, something that's identifiable as a crime. But the large majority of domestic violence is not viewed as a crime. All right, you don't get arrested for verbal abuse. You know, you don't get arrested for economical abuse as long as you're at home. You only get arrested for that if you're out of the house. You don't get arrested for psychological abuse. You don't get arrested for intimidation in many cases. You don't get arrested for isolation or neglect. There's so many other forms of tactics that men use to abuse women that's not arrestable. You can terrorize a woman for 30 years and never get arrested. So we have to look at men as a culture. And then there's another thing that I was thinking about. You know, Wally is sharing some real important information around the experience of Latin men and in Latin countries. But there's a caution I have about that, because as I know, if I took myself, you know, 15 years or so ago, before I became really conscious of this here, and I was listening to that, I would think we as American men are not that bad. And I don't want to let us off the hook.
Yes.
You know, we got a
Thank you.
tremendous amount of work to do here. The reality is 300,000 women are sexually assaulted a year. And actually the numbers is much higher than that, because that's only what's reported, which is about 20%. 1 out of 6 women will be raped. You know, so when you think about, and if you couple that with the fact that a woman is 4 times more likely to be assaulted at home than in the street, that says we have a tremendous amount of work to do. Sandy was talking about prevention earlier.